Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Purple Noon, a podcast. I am Stephanie Conti, and I am here with the Lionel to my Josephine, Savanna Lanausse. Yeah, party. Ooh. Sorry,
I wasn't prepared.
The matcha hit as soon as I hit record. I need
to start drinking cat, but I don't want to drink cat. We always record these podcasts late, so I don't want to start like caffeinating myself. But then I want to be on your
coffee because coffee is just gonna. Because here's the thing: I don't drink coffee while recording, or even any type of recording, because when it hits you, no bueno. I don't want to sit here and do like a little pee-pee dance in my chair because I decided to have an espresso. You gotta go with teas. Because tea also does not have as much caffeine.
Ooh,
so I did a shot of matcha.
A tea sounds good right now.
Yeah, get a little tea. Do it cold though, because the hot teas might make you a little sleepy, especially at night. Like a little warm milky and things like that. Get like a nice get like a peach tea. That should be your official nighttime
tea. That sounds like
purple moony tea, a peach tea. And I'm just going to I bought like 40 cans of matcha last semester to help me with finals. Yeah, I went through about 5. And now I have, 35 cans of matcha just sitting in my fridge. And now I'm like, okay,
does it caffeinate you, or it gives you a little like pickup? Like, what do you?
Yeah, it's good. It gives me the little pickup, but this is something where it's like, because I'm the type of person where I do one coffee and I'm good the rest of the day. Maybe I'll do a second one if I have like a dull class coming up that I just don't want to fall asleep to. But the matchas are good, like when you just need a little perk up. But for me, it doesn't last me all day. Like if I really wanted like matcha to keep my, pardon my French, my little anemic ass up all day, I would have to down like 5 of these. But at that point, I think the caffeine content would be way too high.
I see. Okay.
But definitely you should get a little tea. Yeah, especially since because you and me now have an hour time difference between us, which is not the worst thing ever. But when we record late at night, I really know that you're just trying to chug along,
Yeah. So I need to stay on your level.
Well, you just heard I thought, I was like, oh God, she's probably like cringing right now, because right before I hit record, I chugged down this can of matcha, like I said, but I did it not realizing I was right in front of the microphone, and I probably sounded like, have you ever heard of like a toddler like sipping and they're like, like I probably sounded like that trying to get the can down. Yeah, so I really apologize if I showed that to you, if you had heard that in that little interlude before beginning to record.
But I respect it, and I aspire to be on this level. I have to figure it out. I think
yeah, I'm just making because oh man, there's this it just reminds me, there's this one video of a monkey just like drinking and then being like burped, and he's just like and then just making the most gross noises, and I'm just so sorry if I reminded you of that experience watching that video. But yeah, at night, fun fact, need a little caffeine, go for some tea, but don't go for hot because it'll make you sleepy.
Yeah, that's like when you want to go to bed.
Yeah, for sure. So the Criterion channel just announced what they're bringing in through for February. You want to hear some titles that they're bringing up?
Yes, spill the tea.
We got Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, coming in on February 1st.
I'm excited.
They're also doing The Killing Floor. We got the double features, The Touched, Retouched, and The Touch. What? Oh, it looks like I was so confused. It looks like a movie by Enigmar? Yeah, Enigmar Bergman, and then a short film adapted from it, kind of like that one, the German short film that we watched. August East Silly Feast.
Yeah.
That one where it was based off Ali Fear Eats the Soul.
Right. I remember.
So there's that. We got 4 films directed by Gordon Parks. Canterbury Tales and The Orthodontist double feature. The Last Unicorn? What?
What?
Oh
Explain.
my god, that's a movie from my childhood.
The
Because you
Last
wanna know why?
Unicorn.
I do not remember a single thing about that movie except its dumb theme, where it's like, "The last unicorn." That's the
Why
only
does it
thing I
sound
remember about,
familiar?
and I have that movie on DVD still.
What is it about? It sounds so familiar. I just can't picture it in my head.
It's like a
Why is
little
it on
kid film with, like, Mia Farrow, Christopher Lee, Jeff Bridges, Alan Arkin, and Angela Lansbury. What the hell?
stellar cast?
Wow,
What?
okay.
I mean, I guess that's why it's in the Criterion. Criterion never puts anything kid stuff, right? No kid stuff, no.
Oh, so apparently the members who made this, like, the team that made this would go on and form Studio Ghibli.
Oh, okay. So it's
So
like,
it's
I
a
get it.
pioneer. It's one of them pioneer films.
Okay. I
We have a
can.
Dietrich and von Sternberg films. So, like, it's like a 7 collection film with, like, The Devil is a Woman, Blonde Venus, Shanghai Express, all that stuff.
Very nice.
Ooh, they have a Lana Turner.
Ah, great. Love her.
They like Postman Always Rings Twice, A Life of Her Own, and The Bad and the Beautiful.
I'm curious, have you seen The Postman Rings Twice?
I have not.
I'd be interested in watching that.
My grandpa used to talk about that movie a lot, but I never got to see it. He used to love Lana Turner.
Yes.
We also have Fellini of the Spirits. We got 8.5, classic, as well as a very Fellini and oh my god, is that my love, Isabella Rossellini? Yes, it is. Apparently, there's a short film called The Rabbit Hunters, and it stars Isabella Rossellini. I love that.
True fans.
Ooh, we have starring Ruby Dee. So a bunch of films starring Ruby Dee, like Tall Target, Take a Giant Step, St. Louis Blues, a lot of 50s films.
Very cool.
Ooh, they got a double feature called Cool Killers, and it's Le Samurai and Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai. Clever, clever. I dig that.
I always like a good double feature.
So let's see what else. Lovers on the Run. Ooh, for Valentine's Day. Very nice. Ooh, like things like The Honeymoon Killers.
Very
I think it's
romantic. Very, very
Pierrot Le
classic.
Fou. I think it's Pierrot Le Fou by Jean-Luc Godard. Let's see what else. They got some good stuff. Some new people I haven't heard of before, like some new and I say new meaning like from 2000 onward.
Okay.
So short films by Okosua Adoma Uwasu. I believe I pronounced that correctly. Maybe I didn't.
We're trying. It's okay.
We're trying. Let's see what else. A movie called Nation Time by William Greaves. Looks good. Oh, wait. February is also Black History Month, right?
That's right.
Gotcha. Okay, because I'm like, wow, a lot of Black films. That is why, as it should be. So Nation Time, Black Fire, 5 short films. That's pretty cool stuff. We also have a directed by Nina Menkes, I believe is how you pronounce it. Female director, 4 films from her, including a short film. Oh, they have a movie on here that I want to see, but I believe the Criterion DVD version of it is out of print, and that's Z.
Okay, I've heard of it.
So, and there's also The Conformist. So this is that's Criterion. You got some smart writers or smart people behind. Instead of the Holy Trinity, it's the Holy Trinignon, which is the actor Jean-Louis Trinignon.
So they got some bangers this month, huh?
Yeah. One time on in one of my YouTubes, I pronounced it because it's spelled TRINTIGNANT. Like if I pronounced it like an American, it would be Trintignant.
Okay.
So I said it once, and I got ripped apart by like a 60-year-old man in the comments when I was 16 because he was like, first of all, if you're going to talk Criterions, pronounce it right. Meanwhile, I'm like, dude, I just mentioned him once. I referred to him as like Jean-Louis the entire time, but I said Trigonette like the first time, and he was like, wow, you really think you're cultured? And I'm like, sir, I'm 16. Like at the time I was so upset that I actually had a friend who was studying French because he wanted to be a translator. I was like, please help me how to pronounce this word. And he was like, it's Trinignon. I'm like, thank you.
Some Criterion fans are rough. The fact that he found you and was just like, I'm gonna tell this 16-year-old what it is, and try
Yeah, like just be like, and like he probably sent that comment and was like, I did good today. I did a positive thing for the world. Meanwhile, I'm crying. No, I wasn't crying, but I was like, I'm sorry. Like if it was like Trignon's grandson, like how dare you pronounce my grandfather? I'd be like, I get it. I'm sorry. But you know, I don't need Dan from Milwaukee trying to put me in my place, you know?
The Criterion groups are rough. It's a rough.
They can be a little rough sometimes. Some great people in it. Oh, whoa. So yeah, there's a lot of films coming in. A lot of films coming in. There's one that I heard called Watermelon Man. That looked good. There's Malcolm X tribute. It looks like we're getting a lot of French films and a lot of black cinema, which is great.
That's gonna be cool to check out.
Oh, Bamboozled! They're bringing Bamboozled. That was on our list of things that we wanted.
I've been wanting to see that. That's great. Put it on the list to watch.
Awesome. Yeah, they got some really great stuff coming out. Well, before we get into talking about the movie and stuff like that, real quick announcement. So, one, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I know that 99.9% of you are watching this and are not subscribed on YouTube.
Why?
Subscribe. It costs nothing. Yeah, you don't even have to get notifications for us. Just subscribe. Secondly, I came out with a new short story called Decay. I think I talked about it in the last episode, but it's available. You can see the links for it will be on audemicmedia.com. It's right there. Or you can just go on Amazon and just look up my name, Stephanie Conti, and it pops up. And it's called Decay.
It's great. I've read it 3 times. I left a review. The review is still under. Dude, okay, last time, not to distract from what we're talking about, I tried to leave a review for Idol, and I raved about it, and they declined it.
I don't know what is up with their whole reviewing thing. I really don't understand because, like, I had, like, 10 people leave a review on my first book, and only one of them got accepted.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm really hoping my
review. I think it's because maybe if it gets the idea that if you know me, like if you say like, oh my God, she's my best friend. I'm not saying that you would, but if you say something like that or saying like, you know, anything to allude that you might know me in real life, it won't accept.
Well, I kept it sweet and short this time. So hopefully it goes through. But like I said, I've read it 3 times. The story is fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, check it. It's $1. Just $1.
Un peso.
Way worth it. Way worth it. In fact, it's a bargain. It's a bargain.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you calling me cheap? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thank you so much.
I love your work so much that you just, you know, you want to share it with everybody.
I really do. Like I made this like it was very quick. Usually, like, if you know me, I'm the type of person, like, especially if you've heard me tell you, like, my ideas and stuff like that, I will have back burners, like, bangers that sit on the stove and cook on the stove for, like, 10 years. But if a little worm gets into my head and is like, what about this? I'll literally write it in 3 days and boom, it'll be up. Like, that's it.
But those are my favorite times when you drop. So I feel like I'm special because I get always the sneak peek. I get the draft. Those are always my favorite time when you send me the drafts. I'm like, oh my God, a new story.
And I'm excited too because, you know, it's so funny. I actually was clearing my computer the other day because I grabbed my laptop because I haven't been on it in a few months. And I wanted to update, you know, the software and everything, keep it cool and stuff. And so when I checked, the last thing I had opened was literally a short story that is longer than Idle. And I do like a lot of short stories, but I'm literally like 2 pages away from finishing. And I'm like, oh, well, look at that. Looks like I know what my next thing is going to be. So I just have to transfer everything over and I'll hopefully, who knows, maybe another thing. It's called a Strange Place and it's a modern interpretation of The Stranger. I don't know if I can, I have to figure out if I could post that because it is inspired by The Stranger by Albert Camus. I don't know if they're going to be like, no, you're copying. So I'll have to see.
I don't think so. It's not like you're directly
I think, and especially if I preface it by saying like, this is inspired by this, I don't think anyone's going to be like, I don't think Mr. Bezos is going to have a problem with it.
No, it's not like you're directly quoting from the book. You're just, that was where you got some of like the inspiration for.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that might be out soon as well. But stick around with Decay. Check out Decay first.
Yeah, and Idol. If you haven't checked
Decay
that out.
and Idol, check it out. Just get two of them for like less than $10. I think it's less than $5. I'm a cheap bastard. Just go for it. Just enjoy. Even if you don't read it, I hope you enjoy.
Have a Conti. I don't know where I was going with that. No, have two Conti stories.
Yes, start your Conti collection today.
Yeah, I have them both. And I'm very proud of it.
All right. Enough blowing smoke up my butt. Let's talk about the movie 35 Shots of Rum. This is currently available on the Criterion channel. It is an hour and 40 minutes long, and it is about the relationship between a father and a daughter is complicated by the arrival of a handsome young man. It is written and directed by Claire Denis, or Denis, but I think it's Denis. And it stars Alex Desca, Matty Diop, Nicole Dugal, and Gregor. It's Gregor, but with an I smacked in the middle of it. So I'm just going to say Gregor Colin. I received I've received the hate before. You can send it to me again. I don't care. Was it Dan from Milwaukee?
He's going to find you again.
He's going to be like, I don't find this very tasteful. But so without getting into the spoiler bits, Savanna, what did you think of 35 Shots of Rum?
So I really like the concept because ultimately the story kind of revolves around a codependent relationship. And I like watching movies about that because first of all, I don't think there's a lot of content about like codependent relationships between parents and children, between couples. I don't really see a lot like that that's blatantly out there. So I like that the story was trying to give us some of those themes. And there are just a lot of different themes of attachment in general throughout the characters in the film. So I liked where the initial story was going. I think, like I said, I think the whole backdrop of it is good. However, I have to get into spoilers to talk about my thoughts. So I'm just going to leave it there. I think the initial theme is good. The acting is very good, very natural. I liked how it was filmed.
Do you recommend it?
It's a very quiet film. There's not a lot of music, right?
Actually, no. It's not a lot because it's like the same kind of soundtrack, but it really comes and goes. It doesn't play consistently.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's not a lot of music in the movie.
Do you recommend the film?
It depends.
It's okay. It's okay.
It depends.
I'm with you on there.
Yeah.
I personally believe if you are a Criterion fan, if you can take a slow burner movie and enjoy, like, I don't know, like I'm trying to compare it, not something like Jean Dillman 23 Quadric Camels, not like that long, but like maybe like a Les Samurai.
Yeah.
Maybe, if you can handle like some traditional like French New Waves film, I think you could sit down and watch this, but this film is definitely not for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think?
I think it's one of those things where it's a weird way to put it, but it's not, in my opinion, and hear me out, it's not a good movie, but it's a good observation of life.
I think that's what I was trying to say. I didn't want to come off the bat and be like, yeah, this movie, I
Because in
like the
terms of like
concept.
what you expect from a movie, it doesn't give, but maybe a documentary, like, and I'm talking like traditional narrative movie, like it doesn't give a lot of what I would have expected, but that doesn't mean to say it's bad. It might not be, it kind of fits into like its own category on its own. And I think it's safe to say, like, let's get into the spoiler bits right now. So
Well, okay.
let's whoa, 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 whoa.
Arguably, would you agree that nothing really happens in the movie in terms of events?
You know what? Yes, and here's your spoiler cue. So I say yes, nothing does happen because it's so subtle in terms of for a movie. Nothing really happens to us as an
Yeah.
audience, you know? Like we don't get the satisfaction as these characters would if they were real life people. Like the people, like let's say the characters were real life, yeah, they would get the satisfaction. But as an audience looking in, it's very lackluster. And it's such a hard way to describe, but the plot is there and the plot is good and it has the backbone set up. But you had the good backbones for a movie. And like I said, what we were given was more of like a observational piece. And I just feel like when having a movie like this, you could have played with so much more drama, you know?
That's what I was expecting, and truthfully, I think the summary of the movie is a little misleading because it kind of it from what I remember, it's like, oh, a father and a daughter are used to their mundane life or something until this one guy comes in and messes it up, and you're thinking, oh, okay, what am I in
Oh, yeah,
for?
you think he's gonna be full homewrecker. He's gonna start screaming at his dad and be like, she's my girl now. She ain't no little daddy's girl. That's what you're thinking when you hear that. Like, that is what I was expecting. I was expecting, especially with like at least the cover on IMDb as well. Like, you're just expecting like homewrecker. You're expecting this man to come and take this his daughter away, his little girl, and be like, nah, she my girl now. Like, you're expecting
Yeah,
that lead up and that drama.
and
And what do you get? A dead cat.
dude, the boyfriend was also kind of a bum. He like did nothing.
Yeah. And like it was, maybe it was a good backbone, but not good characters. And it sucks saying that because these characters are so realistic. That's just kind of like saying like to a person like, "Oh yeah, you're nice, but you don't got star quality," you know? And maybe because I'm just, some American that's like, "Give me my big drama scenes. Give me my Marlon Brando screaming Stella," and things like that. And I didn't get that from this film.
Well, not even, you didn't get anything, arguably. There was no confrontation, there was no talking about anything. So that was kind of my issue with the movie. There's no moving on because for a film talking about, from what I understand, codependence, there is no conversation about it except very subtle statements like, oh, go be free and all this stuff. So the movie's very subtle, but in a very drowned out way.
Yeah, and it just seems like there are like like lineages connecting, not lineages, but there is kind of like there are like branches connecting everyone together, but there's no roots. Like there's nothing deep. Like I really couldn't care who Josephine went with because I wasn't given enough to care about with Josephine.
Yeah. I also want to talk about Gabrielle.
Is that the neighbor?
Yeah. What what did she add to the movie? The only thing I could think of is she had a weird attachment to Lionel, and she was kind of there when growing up with Josephine and stuff. But for me, she was just there.
And well, and here's the thing, and this is where a movie like this has its problems because with what they've given us and what they've shown us, it's still very hard to make a simple connection. And that simple connection is the fact. Well, like, yeah, we understood that Josephine and Noe were dating, but it took so long to realize that Lionel and Gabrielle were dating as well.
Yeah,
And
That's
it took
another
one
problem.
letter. It took one, like, I think it was a letter or something like that. And it was so sad. I think the Gabrielle, the Gabrielle, that character, I think she did add something for me. And that was because I realized she made it realize like how sad their situation was. And what I mean by that is because she's the only one who kind of gave glimpse into her life before, like, like it gave into her life aside from her being, a taxi driver.
Yeah.
Meaning when she's having a conversation with Josephine and she's like, "Oh, I remember when you were so little," and blah. And I'm feeling for this woman because I'm like, man, this woman has been starving for attention from Lionel for so long.
Yeah.
And here this young girl and they've known each other for years is what it's supposed to be. And how this young girl could have had a mother figure in her life if her father had gone to be with Gabrielle and actually made solid connections. It's kind of like, and I think where the subtle genius of this film, because even though, yeah, I'm ripping it apart, I'm not, there's lots of things about this film that is genius.
No, yeah,
And
yeah.
one of the things is that the fact that there's so many people in this world, especially as time goes on and social media becomes more and more prevalent in everyone's lives, where people just don't establish boundaries with each other. Like, I know so many people who are like, "Oh, I think we're dating. I think we're doing this." It's like, no, you either are or not. Like, where's this confusion coming from? And I think there hasn't been a movie that really gives insight into that and the dangers of kind of like
Floating.
what happens when you don't establish those connections. You just stay stagnant for years.
That's a really good point. That's good.
But
I didn't realize that.
I literally just saw a TikTok and it was a girl that was like saying, to whoever who scrolled on its for you page and whatever, she was saying like, if you don't know what you guys are, then you guys are probably nothing.
That's true. Absolutely.
And it relates to that because I think so many people are afraid of like finding out what they are because they are afraid when they are nothing. But if you don't give meaning and establish, it kind of is nothing. Which
I
is why
agree.
like Lionel was able to dance with Gabrielle, but then also call over the bar owner and be like, come here, sweet cheeks, and then start dancing with her. And then Gabrielle sitting at the bar, heartbroken. Gabrielle got done dirty. That's all I'm going to say
Girl, I
about
felt
this
bad
movie.
for her. I was like, why are you wasting your time with him? The whole movie. Like, but I also think it showed the only thing I found in value of the character, besides what you told me, now I can see a little bit more, was that it was also a codependent, unhealthy relationship. Because it seemed that she was always kind of fawning after him. And I think he knew that. I think he just kind of had her there. Um, so I think it kind of paralleled between Josephine and Lionel because they also had a codependent relationship in a similar way.
And I think what this movie did do well in terms of with these characters, the four characters, was show the four different kinds of, not maybe four different kinds, but the different types of codependencies. You have someone like Gabrielle who is just like, maybe they'll change, maybe they'll do it, and I won't
Yeah,
have to do it.
right.
You have someone like Lionel and even Noe who are very just don't care either way, or at least convincing themselves that they don't care.
Yeah.
And then you have someone like Josephine who just doesn't really know what they want, even though the signs are all there. Because how many times was she like, oh, how she got so upset when Noe was like, oh, I'm gonna leave, and stuff like that. But instead of getting upset at Noe, she just gets upset at herself.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I consider this more of like an observation because it really does a good job in being insightful to the types of people these characters are, but
Yeah.
not really who they are as people in general.
I think they're very vague, but if the director was going for like really realistic, like you looking in on someone's life, she did a fantastic job
Mm-hmm.
because it couldn't have got more realistic than this. But then you lose a lot of elements that make a movie. If she
Yeah.
didn't want the big drama pieces, I think we should have gotten a lot more character development, a lot more
And
insight.
a lot more dialogue would have helped with this type of film. Because
Yeah.
I can understand it wanting to be subtle, but there's a difference between being subtle and giving very, very, very negligible or unnoticed, little hints here and there.
Yeah, agreed.
So, and I also like the fact that it wasn't just their relationships with each other that had struggles. You could see like Lionel, him working at the, as a train conductor and everything. And him just kind of toying, because they keep going back to his friend retiring. And he doesn't say a lot about it, but you can tell he's actually like, he's contemplating something. You can tell that all of them are just contemplating different factors of their life. The only one who really knows what and this is what I mean by different types of people. You have people like Noe and Lionel that don't really know what they want. But then you have someone like Gabrielle who knows exactly what she wants. She loves being a taxi driver. She loves Lionel, but she has those things that she's just unwilling to confront.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite character out of the 4?
Okay, as much as I said Gabrielle didn't contribute a lot to the film, I did like her. If anything, I thought she was kind of like the life of the movie.
It's one of those things where I think she feels so significant but so unimportant when you consider that the tagline for this film and the plot for this film is about a mysterious, handsome young man joining the picture.
Also, he wasn't very mysterious. I didn't care about him.
Who, Spaniard Adam Driver?
Yeah, exactly. I texted Stephanie when I was watching the movie. I was like, who does he look like? And
And you
hit it
said
on the
it's
nose.
so funny that you did that because she was like, who does this man look like? And what was the text before that message?
An Adam
A
Driver
TikTok of Adam Driver. I'm like, where's your head at? It's right there. Literally, he sent me the answer.
You know who I saw a little bit?
Who?
The guy, the pianist. You know
Oh, I can see that too.
I
can.
think he was who I was thinking about.
Brody? Adrian Brody?
Yes, exactly. But
I
Adam
can
Driver,
definitely see that.
he wasn't mysterious. If anything, his
No.
character didn't really do much.
And I think it's also just one of those things where if they had, like, if this movie was framed more as, like, the struggles that people go to with inner emotions, blah, 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 word it however you want to word it, instead of, like, father and daughter relationship is complicated by the arrival of a handsome young man. It's like, no, that's not really it.
Yeah, I think we were misled a little bit, truthfully.
Yeah.
I think we were expecting something that didn't happen.
We were bamboozled.
For sure. Yeah, no, it was kind of a scam, but I'm happy I saw it. I would like to see more movies with the concept. I would like to see more movies about this because it's interesting, but I would like more interaction and plot.
Yeah, like I really think, like I said, it's good backbone, but I wanted a movie. I wanted a movie, and I hate to say it, but with movies, I want to feel. I want to feel when I watch a movie. I don't want to just go like, oh my God. What, like, because I'm like, when are these losers just going to go around and realize that they're all miserable without each other? They just need to be established. Like, it felt like I was watching, it's almost one of those things where I felt like I knew all those 4 people individually and they were all texting me about each other at the same time. And I just wanted to send a big group message to them all and be like, you fools, look around, establish what you want.
Dude, one of the first things, two of my notes, I want to read you 2 of my notes I have.
Okay.
One of them is, look at that old ass iPod. Did you see that when they were giving it? I'm like, this movie's old.
Dude, it's 2008. Chill. It's 10 years old.
As if I realized, I was like, oh, okay, like this movie's older. I thought it was newer for some reason. I'm like, wow, they're just gonna give him
Oh my,
that old
then
piece of.
okay, here's the thing. If you thought it was new and you were just like, look at these old ass iPads, that reveals your age.
What do you mean?
That totally reveals your age. If you thought this was a movie in 2020, you're like, look at those iPads.
No, okay, so I thought it was like 5 years ago, right? And then I was like, why would they give this man an iPod? Like it was like the you know what I'm talking
iPod.
about?
Yeah. It was, oh yeah. Now I know exactly. You know, it's so funny. I actually, not to like derail, but the last time I used my iPod, you know what I put on it, right?
No.
I put the movie 8.5 on it. I watched the entire movie 8.5 on an iPod.
Those were the days.
What was it? Was it a Nano or a Shuffle? What were they called?
No, I think
or was it just the pods? Just the iPod?
No, I because the shuffle was just a little like button, right? Where you could just shuffle your music.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then the Nano was the small one with the touchscreen.
I think that was it. It was like the square one. The square ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
That like clipped on. Those were pretty useful. But anyways, yeah, I could see that. As soon as I thought you were saying an iPad, I was like, dude, I was not looking at iPad generations.
No,
But then when you said iPod, yeah. No, you know what, it would have been a really telltale sign that would have been old if they got like a CD player or a Zune.
A Zune.
Yeah, I remember when I wanted a Zune so bad, and then like 3 years later, they were like, we've gone bankrupt. We're deleting our entire library system.
Yeah, but look, this is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say one of the first notes I had was the iPod, and then cute crockpot. That shouldn't be my first notes when I'm watching. You know what I mean?
It was that crockpot stuff drove me insane because girl bought a crockpot, right? Daddy comes home with a red crockpot. We never see her crockpot until the end. And it's like, you should have just sold it. Just sell it.
She bought a pink one after that.
Yeah. But it's also like, dude, why didn't you say, oh, hey, I bought a crockpot too. You want to test out these crockpots and see which one's better and then return it like normal human beings?
Obviously there wasn't a lot of normal.
But she just kept a hidden crockpot?
I guess she didn't want her to feel.
In 2008 of all economies, you're just going to keep an unused crockpot on standby?
Well, remember, it was France. No. How is the French economy doing?
I don't think any economy's been doing well the past 20 years, but that's just my opinion. So, Claire Denis has actually 3 films within the Criterion Collection. She has a movie with Juliette Binoche. Or Binonchi.
Very nice.
Called Let the Sunshine In.
Heard good things about that one.
There's also White Material.
Okay. I saw White Material.
What'd you think of that work?
Makes sense. Okay. I saw it. It's better. It's better than this one because there is an actual plot. But again, slow burn. And not a lot more in that movie happens in this movie, I will say. But again, not a lot of things happen.
It's kind of signature with the minimalism.
So yeah, it's a very realistic movie. I like that plot better. It's more interesting. But I could definitely see how she made both movies. Definitely. That makes sense.
So, and then her other film, and it seems to me, because I've seen this film way more than like I've heard of this one way more than any of her other films, is I think it's Beau Travail or Beau Travel.
Okay, I haven't heard of it.
Oh, and it also stars Gregor Collins. I sound like oh no I sound like from oh my god, What We Do in the Shadows, my Gregor.
I hope they come out with a new season.
Yeah, they're filming season 3 soon.
Good.
Okay, so let's acting in terms of 35 Shots of Rum. Okay, but not a lot to work with. Like, there's not a lot of say.
Did a good job with what they had. I do think they did well for, I think, what they were given.
I agree. Now, directing and editing, I did enjoy like the first 3 shots of the train, But when it came to like the 5th and the 14th shot of trains, I was getting a little tired. Like, I was getting to a point where I was like, I get it. They're like trains. They're connected, but they never meet. Like, sorry, that was my Bernie Sanders impression. But it was like, and I understand why they were like, trains. Look at the tracks. Look at the tracks. It's symbolism. I get it.
Yeah,
But
but
I
at that
really
point, it was
didn't
pushing
want to
us.
look. And, you know, it wasn't even like beautiful trains. You know what I mean?
No,
It wasn't
like
like
the grungy, like, yeah.
yeah, you know, like it just it wasn't like, oh, here's us the train, and then you see the Eiffel Tower in the background, or you know, you see like
And I get it.
the
They probably,
Rhine, I think is their river.
I
Maybe, maybe not.
probably, I get that that's not realistic, or they would live in such a beautiful place, but then like don't add 20 shots of it either. You can
Yeah,
live
like
without the 30 shots of the trains.
it's one of those things where I feel like if a crime scene investigator was like, all right, describe the scene, I would give them enough details. Like, I would totally, like, I'd be like, there were tracks, there were buildings on the left, there was a pole right in the middle, you know, lower thirds. Like, I would give them enough because I've seen the same scenic route 20 times within this movie.
Yes.
Could you imagine? Oh my God. Could you imagine? We both visit France one day. We're taking a train and we go by
What, the same thing?
the same thing.
I'd be so disappointed. I'd be, well, I mean, at least I know she was giving us the real France, but it could, don't give me that fear.
Like, that would just be like, oh man, that would just be a weird moment. Oh, hold on. Before we discuss in terms of final thoughts and stuff, I thought a lot of scenes that were in this movie were very unnecessary.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for example, them going to see the aunt in Germany.
Is that just supposed to give us background knowledge?
Yeah, but it's like you could have told that with like when she's reading the letters, like, I got it. She died. You know, she's got no mommy in her life. I
We
understood
figured
that.
that,
And
yeah.
then they go to the aunt and she's just like, Lionel, you were handsome once. And it's like, God, geez, like, what am I getting from this?
Okay. I also didn't like, it was probably necessary. I'm not saying this was unnecessary. That awkward dance scene between
Yeah.
Josephine and Spanish Adam Driver, that was intense for no reason other than to make Lionel uncomfortable, making us uncomfortable. And I get it, like, oh,
Yeah.
look
And
at
then
the way it's
he's
set up,
just
but
like,
they don't need to see everything.
and then what does he do? He's like, I'm going to make you upset by not going for my quote unquote girlfriend to dance, but I'm going to ask this random lady behind the bar
Like, who are
serving
you
us
fighting?
Serving us what? What was that? Rice and chuletas? Serving us rice and chuletas in the middle of France. Serving us this. It was just so like unnecessary. And it's like, yes, I understood the whole point of with the dead cat and things like that, was to show that he really didn't care about anyone except himself in that moment, blah, blah, blah. But did I really need to see this dead cat? And did I really need to wonder, is that shit real?
Yeah.
It looked a little real to me, and I didn't care for that much. I don't care for cats, but I
But there's a
especially don't care for
line.
dead cats.
There's a line.
So it just, there was a lot of unnecessary. Oh, the dude in his stupid retirement party. God, like,
Why was that retirement party like?
bro, you
3
got an
times?
iPod. You got an iPod now. You're good.
Why? Okay, did he have like 3 different parties? I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why they kept meeting up and having parties. There was like 3
Dude,
times.
you saw the same guy at a bar 3 times, all consecutively in 1 week. As a friend, you should have been like, hey, bud, you should go home.
And then the 35 shots of rum. And they were just
Okay,
like,
that angered me. Because it's like, oh, you know, you do 35 shots when, oh, I'll tell you the story another time.
they never told us the story.
Why? Why 35 shots of rum?
He
What's the
didn't want to
significance?
talk about it, but why? I don't know, Steph. I was upset because I was like, oh, maybe the end they'll reveal it. They told us nothing.
Like, it was just one of those things where I was like hoping, I was like, oh my God, maybe this movie has exactly 35 shots of rum. And then I was looking and I only counted 18. And I was so upset.
Oh, another stupid scene. Remember when she was working?
Oh yeah, at the
At the
what is
DVD
it?
store? Like the French
What,
Blockbuster?
yeah, the FYE for your entertainment CD store.
Yes. And then, like, she had a weird interaction with another man that went nowhere.
Yeah, and he's like, we're fighting against the anthropology. What?
But it's set up to where, like, you think, oh, now she's gonna have some kind of thing with this guy. Nothing comes about it. I mean, were we supposed to maybe, like, oh, maybe she was thinking about it? But even then, like, how am I supposed to know?
No, he shoved her when she was just trying to get to her class.
Yeah, but then why do the whole video store situation? Why set it up like that?
I don't know. I also didn't like the fact that we saw this girl in school give her opinion, and everyone's like, well,
Oh, yeah, you suck. That whole
you,
class was
you're a little
against it.
Marxist, aren't you? Like, shut up. Let little Josephine be. Like, there was a lot of annoyances in their world. Like, a
Yeah.
lot. And apparently I just looked up, because I looked up, I was like, what does 35 shots of rum mean in the movie? Someone wrote, instead, the shots of rum represent for Lionel not suicide or despair, but a kind of melancholy celebration, an acknowledgement that his daughter is growing up and preparing for a life of her own. I didn't get that.
But where were we supposed to get that? There was also never a conversation about her growing up. Nothing in the the only reason you infer that is from the summary, and
Hey, hold
because
on. How did Spaniard Adam Driver come back into the picture? He was just there. He left, and he was there.
maybe he came back.
And then they're getting married, right? Like, there was no segue into that. She wore like a white business gown and then was like ready. What was the bill?
No,
What was in between then?
there was nothing there. And to be honest, the movie led me to believe that they were going to break up at some point or their relationship was toxic. I thought this guy was a bum. I thought, like, first of all, what did he do as a job? Because they always talked about his apartment. I don't
Yeah,
think he
then
had a
he's
job.
like, I'm gonna go to the coast of Africa and work. Doing what, my dude? Doing
And then they're
what?
getting married, and the dad says nothing, which is odd. Because if you're like all upset that your daughter's growing up, or like if you're like you have this relationship, I'd be like, hey, maybe don't do that. There's never a conversation between them. And I understand the movie was about him trying to let go, but there should have been some struggle in letting go, at least. Some hesitation.
Yeah, and like also like the way connections should have been made is not like I feel like it should have been more present. Like, dude, I don't need to be spoon fed, but give me a bone. Give me a little
No, this
bone
is like
here to nibble at during
malnourishment.
this movie.
This is like malnourishment.
Like, these type of movies always suck, and what I mean by that is there's so many good elements, but there's also just a lot of heaviness in the bad elements too, or at least the not as well executed elements. And it's just like, and also like for example, okay, let me ask you this: have you ever seen Late Spring?
I have not seen Late Spring.
So apparently, this was inspired, and everyone says it's a great tribute to a movie called Late Spring by Ozu.
Okay.
So I'm not really maybe people who really have seen that movie and are big fans of that movie would appreciate this. But man, it was a toughie.
It wasn't it's like a it was very at certain points hard to keep my attention.
Yeah, and it was like I said, I think the biggest thing of all was that if the title of the plot, like if the plot line, the IMDb summary, the Criterion Channel summary was like 4 people don't know what they're doing with their lives, I would have been like, okay, I get it. But the fact that they're like father-daughter relationship is complicated by a mysterious, handsome young man, it's like I don't see that. They just complicated it for themselves. I don't blame Neo. No way. I don't blame No Way for their weird relationship. I blame themselves. So I do feel a little bit, bamboozled by
Scam.
it.
This is a scam.
So, final thoughts. What's your score for it?
6 out of 10. And I feel bad because I there's a lot of elements in the movie. I know we're joking about it, but like I could see why somebody would like appreciate this. And there are certain things I appreciated about it. And especially if you're a Criterion fan, I think you appreciate it too. But if you're trying to show this to somebody that doesn't watch movies like that, I don't think it's gonna go great. I don't think a
And
lot of people can sit through this, just to be honest.
it's one of those things where it sucks too, because I know so many people who are into film like us are like, I love 35 Shots of Rum. And it's like,
Okay, you can
honey,
go love it. You can be
but
confused.
I think this film is completely and utterly overhyped. Like, the reviews, dude, this got a 92 on Metascore. It's got a 7.1 on IMDb, and Roger Ebert gave it 4 stars. And it's like, just because a movie had great intentions
And it
and
has
a good backbone,
and it has some good elements to it. It doesn't make it an overall good
good
film.
movie, and it also doesn't abstain the movie from having flaws. And in this case, sadly, this movie has some major flaws. Luckily, I don't find it's weird too, because I felt like this way. Remember The Passenger with Nicholson and Maria Schneider that we watched?
Yeah, yeah.
It gives kind of that feeling where it's like, you were starting off so well, baby. What happened? You had something, and you only went 2 steps instead of the 5 steps that were needed.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I think, okay, if we're talking 2008, so let's think of people from 2008. I do think it's hard to say who could have done this movie well, but I just don't. I don't think anyone could have done this better, just because it's really hard for me to pinpoint who could have mastered a movie like this in the times, but it just doesn't uphold. It just doesn't uphold, you know?
I agree very much so. What do you give it as like a score?
I'm gonna give it a 5. 5 out of 10. It sucks to say that, but I'm not gonna watch this movie again. And it's mostly something that, to 90% of the people who I talk to, I'm not gonna recommend it to, because it's just not enough, you know?
Yeah, very much so. I think that I don't think I could show this to anybody I know and expect them to like it.
Oh no, this is not something. If I was like, hey ma, go watch this movie, and she watched it, she'd be like, I'm never listening to you again.
Mm-hmm.
She'd be like, you run a movie podcast? No one should listen to that. She would get but I definitely know if I recommended this movie to people, they would be upset. As I kind of was, as someone who's super pretty tolerable with slow burner movies, I was upset by this film. Well, disappointed rather.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's the parenting review. I'm not upset, I'm just disappointed.
But I really think it has to do with the fact that we were misled. I was expecting one thing and I didn't get it at all.
Oh, I know exactly who should have done this movie. 2008, I also don't think was even though the more modern society does work with it in terms of the disconnect and everything, who I think could have done a banger job on this movie?
Okay.
Go back to the 80s and give this piece of work to Krzysztof Kieslowski.
Oh, but he can do anything. Especially.
I mean, that's true. That would be like saying, oh, give a movie to God. Make it good.
No, but I see what you're saying, because he deals with a lot of hard topics. He could have definitely done something great. And his movies are not fast paced or anything like that. But things happen in his movies. Why?
Yes.
What a plot. What a story. It was just a little slow, but what a story.
Yeah. Man.
You
It
gotta move
pains to
along
say,
your
but yeah,
stories. You
5
gotta
out of
move along
10.
your movie. But you have to move along your plot. You have to. If you're gonna make it
Yeah, and look, if you're gonna do, like, a film kinda sorta about nothing, you gotta go the Fellini route, and you have to make it at least entertaining or at least some kind of meaningful.
Mhm.
Whereas this, we didn't get invested enough in the characters because the minute the movie started, those characters were closed off from us.
Yeah, good point.
I knew more about the Francis railway stations and their roads and everything than I knew about Lionel, than I knew about Josephine. And I think that would be the biggest and the harshest issue with this movie is that you can't have characters that if they were humans, they wouldn't open up. It felt
Yeah.
very intrusive. It all felt very intrusive. I felt like I'm in the kitchen and I'm sitting in the corner and I just want to go like, she bought a crock pot, but she's not using it. Is someone going to talk about that? Like it's painful. It is painful because it's just like everyone's doing their own thing and they're mingling and not talking to each other. And like I'm sitting at the bar, Josephine's doing that weird dance thing in front of her dad, and I just want to shout from the bar, "What was that?
And then you want to
Why'd
be
you
like,
do
I wanted to go comfort Gabrielle. I'm like, he leave.
that?"
Find
Look at
somebody else.
Gabrielle and go, like when he's dancing with the other girl, "Is that your man's?" No, no. Yeah, like that's my final opinion. Is that this movie kind of irked me. Like I really wish I could have just been there in real life during all this situation and like if these people were real and everything. And it's been like, dude, come on. Like oh my god, especially the part where remember when the aunt was like, "Oh, yes, I'll get you coffee." And then she waits 2 seconds, like not 2 seconds, 2 minutes to then tell her daughter, "Pour some coffee." Like and the coffee kettle was right in front of them. The woman just didn't want to move. We're like, you just offered her coffee and you didn't move for 2 minutes and
I
you
want to also talk
summoned
about
your
how
daughter to do it.
she seemed drunk to me for most of the interaction. I
Yeah.
thought they were drinking, and then I realized I'm like, oh no, she just talks like that. I thought she was drunk.
It really does. And I think it's a pro and con. You really just kind of feel like you're third wheeling and you're just screaming and no one's listening to you. That's a rare occurrence. I will say that I will give that to this movie. I've never felt like I've been third or fourth wheeling, maybe fifth wheeling
We should
during
just
an entire thing.
we should just Photoshop you in the movie like the Bernie memes and just have your
Oh my
commentary in
god,
it.
CGI me, do a green screen.
Just you screaming the whole time.
Just oh my god. Just me in the car when the car goes out, just everyone pushing the car and I'm just yelling like, "Why don't you guys just wait? Why are you pushing the car? Put on the hazards and just wait. You don't need to push a car in the rain. You're going to get sick." Man, just me. No. The worst, if I was a bystander with the cat scene and they was like, "Oh, the cat's dead," as soon as he took out the garbage bag, I would have been like, "Stop right there. I'm going to call the police if you keep doing this."
Oh my god, wait. Why? Do you remember when they were jogging and the boyfriend just jumps in the sea, in the river?
Yeah, and then they're just
And then there's like,
could
it's like, haha. And it's like, why? Why did you do that? What was the point?
like, dude, I thought the same thing. And this could be just like me just getting older and all of like my grandmotherly and motherly instincts coming out. But when they're just like, haha, you fell in the river, I'm like, no way, it's 40 degrees out. You're going to get a cold. Like,
He didn't fall in the river. Also, he jumped in.
Yeah, but
and
then
that
he was like,
river's
oh.
probably disgusting. Also, that's what I was saying. Like the amount of people, the amount of things in there.
Dude, Remy the rat wouldn't swim in those waters. Are you kidding me? Oh man. Well, that's our final thoughts. So as always, so next week, we are going to dabble in a two-parter. We're going to dabble in the original 47 Ronin Part 1 and Part 2. As always, if you are not subscribed, what are you doing? And if you're like, Stephanie and Savanna, when are you guys going to be on iTunes? Don't worry, guys. I got audio engineer Zach on it. Should only be like 4 months. I'm kidding. I don't know when. He's very busy. But yeah, so we are trying to work into, because we're kind of learning RSS feeds all together. At least me and him, and how it works and operates and stuff like that, because it's a very confusing department. So yeah, hopefully Purple Noon will be available on iTunes soon. Check out my story. And as always, Savanna, would you like to give our little local shout outs to?
Shout out to homeboy James out in China. Shout out to Sensei David for always supporting us, being real fans.
I have to politically correct and say it's not China, it's Hong Kong.
Oh, I thought it was China. My bad.
It's kind of it's different, but it's
no.
okay.
I thought he told me. Okay, no, it's my mistake. I got it confused. Hong
Depends
Kong.
what side you're on.
No,
I'm sorry.
Hong Kong. I'm on the Hong Kong side. Hong Kong. Clarifying.
I like how I said local, and then we're like, shout out to Hong Kong. But
sorry, yes, please don't. Hong
Kong.
Good.
You're good.
The caption to this podcast is going to be Hong Kong.
Dude, it's fine. They know our news media outlets are all either people complaining about Trump or people complaining about Biden. We don't get the world news. Like, we don't get the world news. It's okay. Everyone knows that about Americans. But yeah, thank you so much, as she said, to those people. If you would like a shout out, like how we just did, maybe a little bit better executed, but if you do, we do have a Patreon deal where for right now it is $1 a month and you get unlimited shout outs every single episode. And right now, for that spot, for that promotion, there's 30 seats available and not one's taken. What a bummer. Be the change you want to be in the world. All right, my matcha shot is running out. We will see you next time when we talk about the 47 Ronin Part 1 and Part 2. Bye.
Hong Kong.